Welcome to the Science of Ageless Living, the podcast where we explore the biology of staying vibrant, not just hanging on. I'm your host, Dr. Ethan Hausman-Markey, and today, we're completely flipping the script on everything you think you know about aging. You've heard the classic story 1,000 times. Aging is like an old car slowly breaking down. Rust creeps in, parts wear out, the engine sputters from decades of hard miles. It's all about damage, piling up oxidative stress, shredding your DNA, inflammation grinding away at tissues, cells senescing one by one until the whole system fails. Inevitable, unavoidable. Just time doing its dirty work. But what if that's only half the truth? What if the real acceleration of aging isn't just the damage we accumulate, but when our body's internal signals start missing the beat? Imagine your cells, your organs, your hormones as members of a world-class symphony orchestra. In youth, every section plays in perfect time, precise cues, soaring crescendos, quiet recoveries. The music is breathtaking. But when the timing drifts even slightly, the same instruments produce only discord, chaos. And that's exactly when aging kicks into high gear. Today, we're diving into the longevity clock, why growing older is fundamentally a timing problem, not merely a wear and tear one. We'll uncover your biological clocks, the hidden rhythms governing sleep, hormones, gene expression, even individual cells. And here's the provocative tease. What if mastering the when could dramatically slow the what of getting older? So stay with me. Because the secret to real longevity might not be about what we lose over time. It's about when our signals finally stop lining up. All right, let's ease into this gently but firmly. For decades, the dominant story in longevity science, and honestly in popular health culture, has been this. Aging is basically just damage piling up. You accumulate wear and tear like an old machine. Free radicals cause oxidative stress, shredding your DNA bit by bit. Chronic low-grade inflammation quietly erodes tissues. Telomeres shorten with every cell division, like frayed shoelaces that eventually snap, pushing cells into senescence. These are the classic buzzwords you've heard over and over. And look, I'm not here to dismiss them. These mechanisms are real. They're important. Oxidative damage, inflammation, telomere attrition, they all contribute to aging. We need to understand them to fight back effectively. But here's the thing, they're incomplete. They don't tell the full story. They don't explain why aging unfolds the way it actually does in real human bodies. Let me give you a couple of examples that poke serious holes in the pure damage accumulation model. First, why do different organs age at wildly different rates in the same person? Recent large-scale studies tracking thousands of people through blood proteomics have shown this clearly. One person's heart might be biologically older than their chronological age, while their liver stays remarkably youthful into their 80s. Skin wrinkles and sags in the 40s or 50s for many, yet cognitive function or kidney performance can hold strong far longer. If aging were simply uniform damage stacking up everywhere, like rust on a car, we'd expect a much more even, predictable decline across the board. But we don't see that. Organs diverge dramatically. Something else is coordinating or failing to coordinate the pace. Second example, and this one hits home for a lot of us. Disrupt sleep for just a few nights. Not years of poor habits, just a handful of bad nights. What happens? You get rapid, measurable, functional declines, foggy cognition, metabolic mayhem like insulin resistance, spikes in inflammation markers, even accelerated shortening of telomeres, and other cellular aging signs. Studies show partial sleep deprivation in older adults activates gene pathways linked to biological aging almost immediately. Cell cycle arrest, senescence signals firing up. That's not from some sudden avalanche of new damage molecules. The oxidative hits or inflammatory load don't skyrocket overnight in a way that explains it. No, it's something faster, more systemic. So, what is the missing piece? It's desynchronization. The body isn't just passively accumulating damage while it repairs what it can. It's a massively timed, orchestrated system, trillions of processes, from hormone pulses to gene expression to immune patrols, all coordinated in precise rhythms. When those rhythms fall out of sync, when the timing breaks down, the repair crews miss their shifts. Damage that would normally be cleared piles up faster. inflammation flares unchecked. Cells can't recover properly. Aging then isn't purely entropy or random breakdown. It's a loss of rhythm. The system loses coherence, and function collapses not because everything's broken, but because nothing's happening when it's supposed to. Understanding this flips the script on longevity. It's not just about mopping up damage with antioxidants or anti-inflammatories, though those help. It's about restoring the timing, the coordination, because when the orchestra plays in harmony again, the music lasts longer. So, if aging is fundamentally a timing problem, as we've been building toward, let's zoom in on how the body actually operates as this intricate time system. Picture your biology not as a collection of isolated parts wearing out, but as a vast network of clocks, all ticking together in exquisite harmony, or at least that's how it's designed in youth. Right at the center sits the master clock, a tiny cluster of neurons in your hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN for short. This is the conductor of the whole show. It receives direct input from your eyes about light and dark cycles, then relays that timing information outward. One of its key jobs? Signaling the pineal gland to release melatonin in the evening darkness, which helps set the daily rhythm for virtually every system in your body. But here's what's fascinating and often overlooked. The SCN isn't the only clock ticking. Nearly every organ and tissue has its own peripheral clock. Your liver runs a metabolic clock that times when to process nutrients, store energy, or detoxify. Your skeletal muscles have clocks that coordinate repair, protein synthesis, and growth during rest and activity windows. Even your immune system is rhythmic. Certain immune cells patrol more aggressively at specific times, priming defenses when threats are statistically more likely. In youth, all these clocks stay beautifully synchronized. The master clock in the brain broadcasts strong, clear signals. Amplitudes, the height of those daily peaks and troughs, are robust. Hormones surge and dip predictably. Cortisol rises sharply at dawn to energize you. Growth hormone pulses deeply during sleep for repair. Genes switch on and off in precise sequences. Cells divide, rest, and regenerate in rhythm. The whole system hums with coherence. As we age, though, that harmony starts to fray. Research consistently shows a progressive loss of signal amplitude. Those crisp peaks flatten, the troughs rise, rhythms become damped and less robust. Coordination slips too. The master clock's output weakens. Peripheral clocks drift out of phase with it and with each other. Desynchronization creeps in. It's exactly like an orchestra without a confident conductor. The musicians are still talented. The instruments are capable, but without tight cues, violins rush ahead. Brass lags, percussion overpowers. What was once a symphony becomes disjointed noise. The performance doesn't collapse overnight. It just loses its power, its precision, its beauty. And here's the pivotal insight. Function doesn't fail purely because of accumulated damage. It collapses when timing coherence breaks down. A desynchronized body can't mount efficient repair. Damage lingers longer because cleanup crews aren't on schedule. It can't adapt to stress as nimbly. Inflammation flares unchecked. Metabolism wobbles. This loss of rhythm is a root contributor to so many age-related diseases. Insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes from metabolic desync, weakened immunity, and slower wound healing, even neurodegeneration as brain regions lose their temporal alignment. The exciting flip side, restoring that timing, re-amplifying signals, re-synchronizing the network, holds real potential for longevity. It's not about erasing every scar of time. It's about helping the orchestra find its beat again so the music can play on clearer, stronger, longer. Now, let's truly elevate sleep. We tend to think of it as simple downtime. Recovery mode after a long day, a nice-to-have habit. But mechanistically, sleep is far more. It's the foundational infrastructure of longevity, the master synchronizer that keeps your entire time biological system in harmony. Consider melatonin, often misunderstood as just a sleep aid or sedative to help you nod off. That's only part of its role. Melatonin is a powerful circadian timing signal. Released in darkness by the pineal gland under SCN direction, it doesn't just promote sleep, it actively resets and entrains those peripheral clocks we talked about earlier. It ensures your gut times digestion right, your brain aligns repair processes, your immune system primes defenses, all on the same page. Without strong melatonin rhythms, peripheral clocks drift, and the whole network loses coherence. Then look at the hormones, all inherently rhythmic, all tied to your circadian cycle. Growth hormone pulses most powerfully during deep slow-wave sleep in the early night, driving tissue repair, muscle regeneration, and cellular cleanup. Cortisol, the stress hormone, reaches its daily nadir at night, allowing recovery, then surges sharply at dawn to energize wakefulness. Insulin sensitivity follows a rhythm too, optimizing blood sugar control during active phases and rest. These aren't steady levels, they're precise pulses and troughs that amplify function when timed correctly. Here's a provocative point clinicians pay close attention to. Chronic poor sleep or disruption ages you faster, mechanistically, than a consistently poor diet in many ways. Studies show that even short-term sleep restriction, say a few nights of 4 or 5 hours, triggers rapid epigenetic changes, ramps up systemic inflammation, accelerates telomere shortening, and activates gene pathways linked to biological aging. One night of partial deprivation in older adults can push cellular aging markers forward noticeably. Why faster than dietary stress alone? Because sleep loss directly flattens those hormonal pulses. The signals weaken and blunt before average hormone levels even drop significantly. Repair becomes inefficient, inflammation lingers, metabolic chaos ensues. In aging itself, we see this flattening happen naturally. GH pulses diminish with lost deep sleep. Cortisol rhythms advance or dampen. Insulin sensitivity wanes. The result? Functional decline accelerates, not from massive new damage, but from desynchronized infrastructure. This is where the clinical wisdom shines. Optimizing sleep isn't merely about logging 8 hours. It's about protecting quality, consistency, and timing to preserve those rhythmic pulses and amplitudes. Align your sleep with natural light-dark cycles. Prioritize deep sleep windows. Avoid all-nighters at all costs. Your longevity clock literally depends on it, because when sleep infrastructure holds strong, the rest of the time system stays resilient. Shifting gears now, let's reframe two of the most hyped longevity buzzwords out there, telomeres and epigenetics. In popular media and supplement marketing, telomeres get sold as simple youth meters. Shorter equals older, longer equals younger. Epigenetics is pitched as a reset button you can flip with the right pill or protocol to rewind the clock. But both are far more nuanced and deeply tied to timing, not just static length or on-off switches. First, telomeres, those protective caps on the ends of your chromosomes that prevent DNA fraying during cell division. Yes, they shorten progressively with each division due to the end replication problem, and critically short telomeres trigger senescence or cell death. But maintenance isn't constant or random, it's rhythmic. Research shows telomerase, the enzyme that rebuilds telomere caps, exhibits endogenous circadian rhythmicity in both humans and mice. Its activity, along with TERT mRNA expression, oscillates under control of core clock genes like clock and BMAL1. Disrupt that rhythm through shift work, chronic jet lag, or aging itself, and you lose those protective oscillations. Telomerase activity flattens or vanishes, telomeres shorten faster, and cellular aging accelerates. Studies on shift workers confirm this. Regular schedules preserve telomerase rhythms. Irregular ones erode them, linking directly to accelerated biological aging. So, telomeres aren't just a passive countdown, they're a timed maintenance system. When the schedule breaks, the youth meter runs down quicker. Epigenetics takes this even further. It's profoundly about when, not merely what. It's the dynamic patterns of gene expression over time, which genes turn on and off, and crucially, when they do so. In youth, this is tightly choreographed. Repair genes peak during rest and recovery windows, often night. Growth and metabolic genes align with activity phases. Circadian clocks drive these temporal patterns through histone modifications, DNA methylation rhythms, and more. Aging introduces epigenetic drift. Those precise temporal sequences scatter. Genes activate inappropriately or fail to pulse when needed, leading to noise, chronic low-level expression where silence is required, or missed peaks where action is essential. This drift disrupts homeostasis, fueling inflammation, metabolic imbalance, and disease. Why does restoring the when of gene expression matter more than forcing constant activation or growth? Because nonstop on switches in a desynchronized system just amplify chaos. It's like blasting every section of the orchestra to play louder without a conductor. You get overwhelming noise, not better music. Overstimulating pathways, think continuous growth factors or untimed boosters, can drown out natural rhythms, worsening the very incoherence we're trying to fix. This brings us to one of the most common pitfalls in the longevity world today. Why so many random stacks, those towering piles of supplements, peptides, NAD plus boosters, and interventions ultimately fail to deliver, or worse, backfire and accelerate the very problems they're meant to solve. The core danger? Continuous stimulation. Most people take NAD plus precursors like NMN or NR every single day, peptides on a daily schedule, even basic vitamins or antioxidants without breaks. It's constant input, steady state dosing, no regard for the body's natural rhythms. But remember, your biology thrives on pulses, not endless streams. Hormones don't flow at a flat line. They surge and recede. NAD plus levels themselves oscillate daily under circadian control, peaking and troughing to drive clock genes and sirtuin activity. Flood the system constantly, and you drown out those natural oscillations. What should be a precise signal becomes biological noise. Desynchronization worsens, repair pathways blunt, and the orchestra we talked about earlier gets even more chaotic. Research highlights this risk. Constant elevation of NAD+ can disrupt feedback loops in the circadian clock, flattening rhythms that sirtuins rely on for proper timing. In some models, chronic high NAD+ leads to anomalies in behavior and metabolism, shortened circadian periods, altered rest activity cycles, because the natural negative feedback gets overridden. More broadly, nonstop stimulation of growth pathways, autophagy, or repair mechanisms without recovery phases can create overload. It's like revving an engine at redline 24/7. You burn it out faster. Studies on hormesis, the beneficial stress response, show that mild intermittent challenges, exercise bouts, fasting windows, even pulse stressors, build resilience and longevity, while chronic ones often backfire, promoting inflammation or exhaustion. Adding more players to the mix makes it worse. Throw in extra musicians, another peptide here, a new booster there, without a score or conductor, and you amplify discord. Random stacks ignore rhythm entirely, no cycling, no alignment with sleep, meals, or light-dark cycles. The result? Diminished returns at best, counterproductive effects at worst, blunted hormonal pulses, disrupted epigenetics, even faster functional decline. The smarter path? Pulsed cyclical interventions. Align dosing with your body's innate rhythms, perhaps syncing NAD plus support with active phases or taking strategic breaks to let natural oscillations rebound. Cycle on and off. Build in recovery periods. Prioritize timing over sheer volume. We're not prescribing specifics here. That's territory for future episodes where we can dive into protocols. But the principle stands clear. Quality over quantity. Timing over tonnage. Random always-on stacks disappoint because they fight the clock. Thoughtful, rhythm-respecting ones work with it. So, what does all of this, the longevity clock, desynchronization, rhythmic pulses, timed repair, actually mean in the exam room, in real clinical practice? It calls for a genuine paradigm shift in how we approach longevity care. We must move away from the old model of intense, constant fixes, the idea that if a little is good, more is better, that we can brute force our way back to youth with round-the-clock interventions. That approach treats the body like a broken machine we can hammer into shape 24/7. But as we've seen, the body isn't a machine, it's a timed, living orchestra. Continuous high-intensity input without recovery leads to burnout at the cellular level, flattened rhythms, exhausted pathways, amplified noise instead of restored signal. Instead, longevity protocols should be fundamentally cyclical. Think of them like a well-designed athletic training program, deliberate phases of build, where you challenge and stimulate, phases of rest, where adaptation and repair consolidate, and phases of reset, where the system is allowed to recalibrate. Intensity without cycles isn't progress, it's depletion. The same principle applies to supplements, fasting, exercise, even light exposure. Cycle them thoughtfully to honor the body's need for oscillation, not steady state overload. These protocols should also be periodized and deeply personalized, tailored to an individual's life, rhythms, chronotype, work schedule, and seasonal patterns. Work with the circadian clock, not against it. Align higher metabolic demands with natural daytime peaks. Protect deep recovery during nighttime windows. Adjust interventions around travel or stress. A one-size-fits-all daily stack ignores the person in front of you. Rhythm-aware care respects their unique temporal biology. Above all, be rhythm-aware in monitoring and intervention. Track not just static levels, cortisol at noon, fasting glucose, but coherence, the amplitude and phase alignment of hormonal pulses, sleep architecture, even markers of epigenetic rhythmicity when available. Use tools like continuous glucose, monitors, wearable sleep trackers, time blood work to assess how well the orchestra is playing together. Then intervene with precision to restore those patterns, amplifying weak signals, rephasing drifted clocks, protecting recovery windows. Precision beats brute force every single time. A small, well-timed adjustment often outperforms a massive, constant one. Here's the distilled clinical philosophy I've come to after years in this space. Aging isn't something we reverse with magic bullets. It's a process we slow and sometimes meaningfully decelerate by restoring lost coherence. Treat the timing, and the body handles so much of the rest. Repair becomes efficient again. Adaptation sharpens. Resilience returns. It's wisdom over wizardry. No secret pills or overnight miracles. Just smart, respectful synchronization with the biological rhythms we were built upon. All right, let's gently bring today's journey to a close. We've covered a lot of ground, but it all circles back to one core insight. Aging isn't just about the damage we accumulate over time. It's the quiet loss of timing, the flattening of rhythms, the drift of our biological clocks that leads to functional decline and, eventually, disease. When the orchestra falls out of sync, the music fades. But here's the hopeful part. Fix the clocks, restore that coherence, and you might just wind back the years not by erasing time, but by helping the body play its symphony beautifully again. Next time, we're going deeper into the ideas that lit up for many of you today. We'll explore pineal gland aging and how this tiny structure dims our master clock as the decades pass. Or maybe we'll unpack circadian peptides, promising molecules that could gently reset those drifting rhythms. And definitely, we'll tackle why continuous dosing of even the best supplements often backfires spectacularly, turning potential benefits into more biological noise. I'll let you vote on social media or in the comments which one excites you most. Your input shapes the show. Until then, carry this with you. Longevity isn't about doing more to the body, piling on interventions, chasing the next big thing. It's about teaching the body when to act again. Reclaim the rhythm, and vitality follows. Thanks so much for joining me on the Science of Ageless Living. If today's episode shifted how you think about aging even a little, please share it with one person in your life who's chasing more energy, more clarity, more vibrant years. Hit that share button. It means the world. I'm Dr. Ethan Hausman Markey.